They say the forest has a voice, a whisper that can be heard by those who truly listen, a voice that speaks of ancient secrets, of forgotten horrors, and of creatures that walk the earth in the dead of night. In the heart of Northern California, where the tall trees stand like silent sentinels, lies a hunting ground steeped in legend, a place where the line between myth and reality blurs. This is the story of a hunter, a man who ventured deep into those woods, seeking adventure and a chance to test his skills. But what he found was far more than he bargained for. A terrifying encounter that shattered his reality and left him forever changed. A chilling tale of survival, of the unseen forces that dwell in the shadows, and the enduring power of fear. Now we delve into the heart of darkness, where the forest itself seems to hold its breath, and the whispers of the unknown threaten to consume us all. Strange sightings, unknown entities, and lost souls. Step into the abyss and welcome to Weird Encounters, a place where the ordinary fades into shadow and the unexplainable comes alive. Make sure you hit the like button, subscribe, and join our ever-growing community of the curious. Your support is the lifeblood that keeps this channel alive. Now, prepare yourself, for what you're about to witness is not for the faint of heart. The air hung heavy with the scent of pine needles and damp earth, the pre-dawn sky a bruised purple. It was early winter in Northern California, the kind of cold that seeps into your bones. My hunting partner, John, shivered, pulling his coat tighter around him. We were deep in the forest, miles from the nearest road, on land that had once belonged to the ancient Miwok people. They called it the place where spirits walk. And as we ventured further into the woods, I began to understand why. John, a man of few words, was the most experienced hunter I knew. He'd practically grown up in the woods. He was a fantastic tracker and survivalist. But even he seemed a little uneasy this morning. We were tracking a large buck. Its antlers would be legendary. The snow, though light, had fallen the night before, making our movements muffled, the silence almost deafening. Then it happened. A sound, guttural and horrifying, ripped through the stillness. It was unlike anything I'd ever heard before. A mixture of animal and human, a grotesque parody of a dying man. John froze, his eyes wide with terror. Before I could answer, I saw it. Moving through the trees, a monstrous figure, tall and gaunt, its limbs long and skeletal. It moved with an unnatural bending. It was fast and blended seamlessly with the shadows and trunks of the trees. Its face was tough to make out. John gasped. It looked like a demon to me. It was not of this earth. I remember a searing pain. Then the world went black. I remember waking a few minutes later to the pungent smell of death. John. Where was John? I scrambled to my feet, my head pounding, but I was okay. No blood. I looked around, frantically searching for any sign of him. His rifle, his backpack, his hat, all gone. But my pack and gear was all still there. Panic clawed at my throat. I called out his name. I searched the area for hours. There were no tracks, no signs of a struggle, not even a single disturbed twig. It was as if he had simply vanished. Terror gripped me. Venturing further into the depths of this eerie forest filled me with dread. Every rustle of leaves, every snap of a twig sent shivers down my spine. I felt like I was being watched, hunted, but I never saw anything. The forest felt like it was closing in around me. The air grew colder, the shadows deeper, and the silence more profound. I could almost feel the eyes upon me, watching, waiting. As I stumbled deeper into the woods, I tried to rationalize. Perhaps John had been spooked by the creature and had run off, seeking shelter. Perhaps he had fallen, injured, and was now lost. But with each passing hour, these hopes dwindled, replaced by a chilling certainty. I spent the next few hours desperately searching, my voice hoarse from calling out. I found nothing. No tracks, no blood, no sign of a struggle. As the sun began to dip below the horizon, casting long, eerie shadows across the forest floor, I knew I had to give up. I was alone, lost, and utterly terrified. I spent the night huddled beneath a thick blanket of pine boughs, shivering uncontrollably. The sounds of the forest, amplified in the darkness, seemed to mock my fear. The eerie rustling of unseen creatures, all of it seemed to whisper of impending doom. Dawn brought a sliver of hope. Exhausted and disoriented, I stumbled upon a cabin, a ramshackle structure that offered some semblance of shelter. A deformed old man lived there. He could hardly speak. Someone had to have been taking care of him, but I didn't see or hear anyone else, nor would he tell me. His face etched with the lines of a lifetime spent in these woods. He listened to my story with a grave expression. He mumbled, but would not say what it was, his voice just barely above a whisper. "They can make you vanish," is all he said over and over with a sinister laugh. He told me of other disappearances, of hunters, hikers, campers, and loggers who had ventured too deep into the woods and never returned. He spoke of an ancient burial ground, strange symbols, and of the chilling sounds that echoed through the trees at night. He said I would never find the burial grounds. He said that I would never see my friend again. He told me how to leave the forest. There was no road to his cabin or anything. No electricity, nothing, and it was deep in the woods. I couldn't help but think this man or someone he knew had something to do with John's disappearance. It was so strange and scary. I felt like I was being watched. Leaving the woods, I felt a profound sense of relief that I was alive, but also a lingering unease. I knew that I would never forget the horrors I had witnessed, the chilling silence, the terrifying sounds, and the chilling certainty that something truly evil lurked within the depths of that forest. John was never found. His disappearance remains a mystery, a chilling reminder of the unseen forces that dwell in the shadows of the wilderness. And I, forever marked by that encounter, carry the weight of his loss and the chilling memory, a constant reminder of the darkness that lies just beneath the surface of our world. The search, however, unearthed some disturbing discoveries. Deep within the woods, we found the ancient burial ground, not of animals, not of humans. There were massive skulls, unlike anything any of the biologists could identify. Alongside them, we found strange, unsettling artifacts, intricately carved wooden figures with vacant, staring eyes, and crudely fashioned tools that seemed to defy any known purpose. And then, there were the old bones. Human bones, weathered and brittle, scattered amongst the debris, and the clothing, tattered and torn, hinting at lives lived long ago, lives shrouded in mystery. The searchers also reported hearing the same terrifying sounds, guttural moans, chilling shrieks that echoed through the trees, sending shivers down their spines. Some of the locals spoke of ancient legends, of creatures that walked through the woods at night. They would not call them by name, spirits of the starving, they said. Malevolent entities that preyed on the unwary. The game wardens, initially skeptical, began to reconsider their stance. They found skulls, and the size and shape was unlike any known animal. Whispers grew louder, and they were calling it something I choose not to repeat. Others said it was fake. "I've heard stories," one of the older game wardens told me, his voice trembling, stories of people disappearing in these woods. Hunters, loggers, and campers. They'd vanish without a trace. Some said they were taken by this thing. The forest, once a place of beauty and tranquility, now seemed to pulsate with an unseen terror. We found that old cabin, but nobody was there. Actually, it didn't look like anyone has been there for 50 years. There were whispers of other ancient cabins and structures hidden deep within the recesses of the woods, so maybe we were at the wrong one, but I swear the same chair that man was sitting in was there. "You can't go there in those woods," one searcher said. "The place is cursed. They are real." The experts, of course, offered more conventional explanations. Hallucinations, they said, brought on by the extreme cold and isolation. Delusions born of fear and exhaustion, and that I passed out. John went off to get help and got lost, but the evidence, the chilling sounds, the unsettling discoveries, and that strange cabin all pointed to something more sinister. Having witnessed the terror, having felt the icy grip of fear, could no longer dismiss these stories and legends. After doing some research, I found that the entities that might live there are not confined to this corner of California. There were whispers of them in the forests of New York, in the deep woods of Pennsylvania, in the shadowy depths of the North Carolina mountains. Even in the Rockies, in the desolate expanses of Colorado and especially Utah, tales of men that sold their soul and turned into strange demon creatures. After weeks of searching, John was never found. He vanished without a trace, just like the others, and was swallowed by the insatiable maw of the forest. It was so tough to tell his family what happened. They think I am insane and that there's more to this story. I wish I had more to tell them. It's truly heartbreaking, and I miss my friend. I left those woods a changed man. The beauty of the forest was now tainted with a chilling dread. The silence no longer offered peace, but rather a constant reminder of the unseen dangers that lurked within. I urge you, if something doesn't feel right, then turn back. There are some places man was never meant to go. Our next story takes place in the Emerald Triangle, where the redwoods whisper secrets in the wind. There lies a darkness that only a few have witnessed. This story is about a man who spent his life patrolling these woods with a rifle on his shoulder. He thought he'd seen it all. But the truth is, some things in the wilderness defy explanation. Some things are best left undisturbed. They call this place the Emerald Triangle. Lush, green, a paradise for some, a hell for others. I know it well. For years I patrolled these woods, a badge on my chest, a rifle on my shoulder. But even I, a man who's seen his fair share of wildlife, wasn't prepared for what I encountered that day. You see, I'm a gun guy. Grew up with them. My father, a hunter, taught me the respect, the responsibility. I run the shooting range here at the park, a sanctuary for marksmanship. But that day, in the heart of this emerald paradise, something primal, something ancient, shattered my sense of control. I was sighting in a new rifle, a beauty, and I wanted to see how it handled, test its accuracy. My family has owned land nearby for generations, quiet acres bordering the forest, the perfect spot for a bit of target practice. The air was crisp, the woods still. I should have heeded the warning signs. An unsettling chill, a sense of unease that crept over me as I navigated the dense undergrowth. I dismissed it, chalked it up to the weather, the isolation. But the deeper I ventured, the stronger the feeling grew. It was like the forest itself was watching, judging. I felt a primal fear, a fear older than myself, older than this very land. Then the smell. A sickeningly sweet rot, a stench that clung to the air like a shroud. And there, just off the trail, a grotesque tableau. A mangled creature, unrecognizable, its fur matted with blood. A chilling reminder of the brutal order of nature. I reached my usual spot, the field bathed in the pale winter sun. I loaded the magazine, each round a potential bullet of reassurance. But then, a sound, a deep, guttural growl, echoing through the trees. I spun around, heart pounding. Nothing. Just the rustling of leaves, the whisper of the wind. but the fear remained within me. And then, I saw it. Emerging from the thick underbrush, a creature unlike anything I had ever witnessed. 8 feet tall at least, moving with an eerie grace on 2 legs. Its skin, a sickly shade of brown, hung loose, revealing glimpses of bone. It resembled a man, grotesquely elongated, its limbs impossibly long, its movements fluid, yet somehow unnatural. The stench, overpowering, seemed to emanate from the creature itself. I fumble, my fingers clumsy with terror. The bolt wouldn't budge. Panic surged. I was paralyzed, my weapon useless. The creature continued its silent procession, its eyes, if it had eyes, hidden by the shadows. It moved with a chilling indifference. Then, I heard it. A sound that seemed to emanate from the very depths of the earth, a guttural moan that sent shivers down my spine. I froze, every sense on high alert. The hollow eyes were closer now, mere feet away. I could feel the heat of its rancid breath on my face, the stench of decay overwhelming. I scrambled to my feet. I stumbled, my foot catching on a gnarled root. I crashed to the ground, the wind knocked out of me. The creature loomed over me, its elongated form silhouetted against the fading light. Its skeletal hand reached out, its touch icy cold. Its grip was like iron. I tried to scream. Then something startled it. Something, and I'm not sure what it was, burst from the undergrowth, colliding with the creature. The demon-looking creature staggered back. I seized the opportunity, scrambling to my feet, my heart pounding like a drum. I turned and ran, not daring to look back, my legs pumping like pistons. I didn't stop running until I reached the safety of the clearing, my lungs burning, my body trembling uncontrollably. The forest, once a place of solace, now felt like an entity, eager to claim another victim. I never returned to that part of the woods. The memory of its touch, the chilling proximity of death, still haunts me to this day. It just vanished into the depths of the forest, leaving behind an oppressive silence, broken only by the frantic beating of my own heart. I stood there, trembling, my mind reeling. What in God's name had I just seen? The incident rattled me to the core. That forest had changed. The silence was no longer peaceful, but heavy with unspoken threats. I started talking around town about my encounter and asking others if they've ever seen anything like that. The whispers began soon after. Old-timers, their faces etched with the lines of countless winters, spoke of a creature of legend, an evil demonic spirit. "Heard tell of it snatching folks off the trail," one grizzled trapper confided, his voice a low growl. "Starvin' beast, always hungry, never satisfied." Another, a park ranger with more years on the job than he cared to admit, recounted a series of unsettling events. Animal carcasses found mutilated, strange death like howls echoing through the night, the unsettling feeling of being watched. "Some say it's just a bear," he'd said, his eyes fixed on a distant horizon. "But I've seen things in these woods, things that can't be explained." Dr. Emily Carter, a wildlife biologist, offered a more scientific explanation. "Could be a rogue bear," she suggested, her voice measured. "Perhaps a genetic anomaly, a creature driven mad by starvation." But her explanation felt inadequate, a feeble attempt to rationalize the irrational. I, for one, wasn't convinced. The creature I saw was something more than just an animal. It was a force of nature, a manifestation of evil. And while I may never know the truth, the memory of that encounter, the chilling indifference of that monstrous figure will forever haunt me. The Emerald Triangle, once a place of solace, now holds a darkness I may never fully understand. The Emerald Triangle remains a place of both beauty and mystery. While the scientific explanations for the strange occurrences may seem plausible, there's a part of me, a part of all of us, that yearns for something more. A reminder that the wilderness, in all its grandeur, still holds secrets beyond our comprehension. Secrets that whisper of the unknown, of forces beyond our control. And sometimes, in the quiet of the night, I hear those whispers too. A chilling reminder that the darkness in the woods may be deeper than we ever imagined. Thank you for allowing me to share my story. It's not something I talk about often. Even now, I struggle to believe what I experienced. But every time I close my eyes, I can still see it. This happened in the Erie woods near Centralia, Pennsylvania, a place forever haunted by its tragic history and shrouded in mystery. For those unfamiliar, Centralia is no ordinary town. Once a bustling mining community, it's now a ghost town, abandoned after a coal fire ignited beneath the town in 1962. The fire still burns today, creating toxic smoke and steam that seep through the ground. Streets buckle and buildings have crumbled, leaving only a few stubborn residents clinging to what's left. Locals call it America's Silent Hill, a reference to the horror game inspired by its desolation. People speak of strange happenings in the area, ghostly apparitions, shadowy figures, and something darker, something alive in the surrounding forests. It was October, just days before Halloween, when I received the call. A strange orange light had been spotted near the old trails at 3 a.m. My job as a park ranger was to investigate, though in this area, calls like these were common. Thrill seekers, urban explorers, and paranormal enthusiasts often ventured into the woods, drawn by the town's sinister reputation. The air that night was damp, heavy with the sulfuric tang of the underground fires. Mist clung to the ground, swirling in the faint moonlight. The forest surrounding Centralia can be dense, with gnarled trees that seem to stretch endlessly into the darkness. As I walked deeper into the woods, the distant rumble of the coal fire grew louder, almost like a heartbeat beneath my feet. The deeper I ventured, the stranger things became. My flashlight's beam cut through the fog, illuminating graffiti-covered rocks left behind by trespassers. Messages like "turn back" and "beware of the beast" were scrawled in faded paint. The forest was eerily silent. No chirping crickets, no rustling leaves, just the faint hiss of steam rising from the earth. As I approached the old mine shafts, I noticed something unusual. The ground was scorched in patches, as if recent fires had burned there. A chill ran down my spine as I remembered an older ranger's warning. Stay clear of the mines at night. People hear voices down there, whispers from the dark. Some say it's the fire, but others think it's something else. That's when I saw it. The faint orange glow flickering through the trees. It seemed to be a steady light of a small fire. It pulsed like a living thing. I crept closer, heart pounding, until I reached the source. In the center of the clearing, crouched over a pile of what looked like rags, was this animal. I realized the rags weren't rags at all. They were something else that I really don't want to elaborate. It was torn and bloodied. Whatever this thing was, it was massive, with pale, patchy skin stretched over its skeletal frame. Its antlers, jagged and uneven. It turned toward me. Its sunken eyes were black. Its face was grotesque, its lips pulled back to reveal jagged, yellowed teeth. Blood dripped from its claws, and it stood to its full height. I remembered stories I'd heard from locals. I saw it once when I was a kid, a woman had told me. It had these dead eyes, like it wasn't alive but still watching you. It didn't move, but I knew. It wanted me gone. People hear screams out here, a hunter had said. Not human screams, something worse. The sound this creature made ripped through the night, reverberating in my chest like a shock wave. It sounded like a person seriously injured screaming in pain, and something more sinister. I can't quite explain it. My legs felt frozen, locked in place by terror, but the primal urge to survive jolted me into motion. I didn't try to do anything heroic, not without some backup, and I was extremely frightened. I turned and ran. The sound of snapping branches and heavy footfalls echoed behind me. closer than they should have been. The ground seemed to shift beneath me, uneven and treacherous with the debris of the forest. My lungs burned as I pushed myself harder, each breath sharp and shallow. I dared a glance over my shoulder. I could see its skeletal frame cutting through the fog, and I could see its antlers scraping against low-hanging branches, and then the forest plunged into near-total darkness. I tripped, and I went down hard. My flashlight rolled out of reach, its beam flickering wildly before dying completely. I heard its heavy steps as it stalked closer. It let out a strange whisper that sounded like several voices. It sounded like a chant or some kind of rhyme. Then a low, guttural growl that seemed to vibrate through the ground. A sound that sent a jolt of fear coursing through my body. Desperately, I fumbled for one of my flares, clutching it like a lifeline. I waved it in front of me, the red light illuminating the creature's grotesque features. Its skin looked almost translucent, stretched impossibly tight over its bones. Dark patches of fur clung to its body, and its claws gleamed wet with the remnants of its previous victim. It circled me, its movements predatory and calculating. It was toying with me, enjoying the chase. My heart thundered in my chest as I scrambled to my feet, every instinct screaming at me to run. But where? The forest was a labyrinth of trees and mist. The trail had a distant memory. It made a sound of laughter, and it sounded so twisted. My blood ran cold as I realized it. Its lipless mouth curled into something resembling a grin, exposing those jagged yellowed teeth. It lunged, and I ran. I bolted, weaving through the trees as fast as my legs could carry me. The forest seemed alive, the shadows shifting and closing in, the mist curling around me like grasping hands. Every step felt heavier, every breath harder to draw. It was making these sounds that seemed to be all around me, making it impossible to tell where it was coming from. I reached a narrow ravine, the jagged rocks on either side offering no clear path forward. Behind me, the steps grew louder, closer. The demon creature stopped a bit back from the edge of the ravine, tilting its head as it studied me. I had my gun drawn. My head was pounding, and I couldn't catch my breath, and I was so shaky. Then, I heard people in the woods. It sounded like chants or yelling, and it was distant. I was yelling back, and then suddenly this creature, animal or whatever it was, sprinted off into the woods. I ran towards where I thought the trailhead was. I didn't stop until I reached my truck. I sat in my truck, gasping for air, my hands trembling as they clutched the steering wheel. My heart was still hammering in my chest, and my body ached from the mad sprint through the forest. The body, next to the fiery orange glow of that fire, was burned in my mind. But when I glanced in the rearview mirror, the woods behind me were dark and silent, as if nothing had happened. For a moment, I thought I was safe. Then a heavy thud rocked the truck. The entire truck shook. My blood froze. Slowly, I turned my head toward the passenger side window. There it was. Its emaciated frame loomed in the moonlight, its claws pressed against the glass. It looked at me like I was food, like a starving bear, but it had this unsettling intelligence, like it was purposely trying to scare me. Adrenaline surged through me. My hand darted, drawing my gun. I fumbled with it, the creature's whispers and guttural growls vibrating through the cabin as it clawed at the windshield. The glass spider-webbed under the pressure, shards falling into the seats. "Come on." I didn't hesitate. I aimed squarely at the creature's chest. I fired 4 shots. It thrashed wildly, showing its grotesque form in horrifying detail. Its translucent skin revealing sinew and bone beneath. Seizing the moment, I threw the truck into drive and floored it. In the rearview mirror, I saw it stagger to its feet. I also saw about 6 or 7 people standing next to it. I knew what I'd seen, but a part of me questioned my sanity. It was too bizarre, too monstrous to be real. Were people playing tricks on me and I might have shot a person? How do I report this? I was getting calls on the radio checking up on my progress, and I wasn't sure what to say. I reported that I was chased by a bear and that there were other people in the area. I didn't know what else to say. I had to go back. I needed proof, something tangible to confirm that I wasn't losing my mind, but I wasn't going back alone. There was nobody else near the location, so when I felt that I was far enough away, I pulled over to wait for backup. The sun was starting to come up, and when I returned to the forest with backup, the area was eerily calm, as if the events of the previous night had been erased. The mist was gone. There were no prints and no sign of where the creature stood. No body, no blood, no fire, and no creature. There were no reports of injury at the hospital and no signs of any struggle. Just off the trail, near the clearing where I had first encountered the orange light, something caught my eye. Nestled among the fallen leaves was a single twisted antler. It was blackened at the base, as if burned. My stomach churned as I picked it up, the antler unnaturally cold against my skin. The moment I touched it, a faint whisper echoed in my ears. Not a voice, but a sound like the wind, hollow and mournful. I dropped it immediately, my hands shaking. I left the antler where it lay and backed away, my instincts telling me it was better left undisturbed. As I turned to leave, I felt the unmistakable sensation of being watched. I glanced over my shoulder, but the forest was empty. Still, the hairs on the back of my neck stood on end, and the faint smell of decay lingered in the air. I never reported the full incident to my supervisor. How do you report something like this without everyone thinking you are crazy? I know the mind can play tricks on you out there, but I knew what I had seen, and I knew it wasn't over. Even now, I can't shake the feeling. Maybe it was a warning, or maybe it was evil. Strange people come to this place, and there are strange activities that occur around this area. Whatever the case, one thing is certain. The areas and parks around Centralia is cursed, and some places are better left undisturbed. In the weeks that followed, I heard more stories. There's something in those woods, a former miner told me. It doesn't care if you're scared. It wants you to know it's there. I heard a scream out there once, a local man said. It sounded like an animal or a person dying, but it wasn't. It was wrong. They say the Wendigo isn't the only thing out there, another hunter added. There are other creatures, things that crawl out of the mines. Centralia's cursed. Always has been. I haven't encountered anything like it since. I've been on other calls in and around the area, but no clues. I continue to stay alert and focused. I know that I am not the only park ranger out there that has encountered something like this, especially in Pennsylvania. The more I dig into what this could have been, the more I learn I'm not alone seeing these demonic creatures. It seems people that spend a lot of time in the woods all have stories like this, especially in the Pennsylvania wilderness. This encounter happened near Pennsylvania's Allegheny National Forest, a place known for its haunting beauty and its dark secrets. On what seemed like an ordinary hunting trip, this listener found himself face to face with something that was anything but ordinary. What he encountered was something terrifying. Local eyewitnesses claim this is possibly linked to dark rituals in the area. Stay with me as I try to make sense of the unexplainable. Now let's listen to this subscriber's strange and deadly encounter. This story is so strange, and I'm sure the audience won't believe me, but this is what happened to me one day hunting in the woods near Allegheny National Forests in Pennsylvania. I still have nightmares, and I hope writing this story helps me deal with what I saw. It was the fall of 2022, and I had been hunting alone in the Allegheny National Forest in Pennsylvania. I'd always enjoyed the solitude of the woods, the quiet peace that came with being alone in nature. But that day, As the sun began to dip below the horizon and I was getting ready to leave, something changed. It started as just an eerie feeling, a sense of being watched. But by the time night fell, I was fighting for my life. I grew up around this area. I don't want to say where, and I don't want to expose my identity. I can tell you, though, that there are strange occurrences that happen here. I went to school around here, and we always heard stories about the satanic cults and horrific things that they would do in the forests. I don't even want to repeat them. I have come across strange altars, demonic symbols, and disturbing images carved in trees or painted on rocks. Just freaky stuff. There have been strange disappearances and deaths that have occurred throughout the years. Anyways, I've been tracking a deer for hours, deep in the forest, when I heard something that stopped me dead in my tracks. It sounded like a person dying, and it was coming from behind me. It didn't sound like anything I had ever heard before or want to hear again. At first, I thought it might be an animal, maybe a bear, but it was too human-like and unnatural. I spun around, my heart racing, but saw nothing. Just the shadows of trees and the fading light. I tried to shake it off, telling myself it was probably a trick of the mind. But the sound came again, closer this time. I started moving, fast. But something was following me. I could sense it. I could hear the heavy footsteps and branches breaking. My breath hitched in my throat. I kept my rifle ready, but I knew whatever it was going to be bad. It was pushing me deeper in the woods, and it was going to be sunset soon. I needed to get out of here before night. I reached a small clearing near a creek, hoping to catch my breath, but then I saw it. At first, I thought it was just a trick of the light, but no. It was real. It was tall, at least 8 or 9 feet. Its long limbs twisted and unnatural. Parts of its body was covered in matted fur, and its skin was sickly pale. But the worst part were its eyes. Large, dark holes. The thing's face was twisted, like it was made of nightmares. Its gaze fixed on me as if studying me, waiting for something. I could feel the blood drain from my face. It was a demon creature, but standing there in front of me. Could it have been a sick animal or some kind of mutant animal? Maybe I was hallucinating, I thought. I took a step back. I went to run, but then I heard its voice, soft, almost whispering, and it sounded like a song but unearthly. I swear it said something like, "I eat your body, I eat your soul." I got out of there quickly. When running, I must have hit my head on a branch, which knocked me out. I'm not sure how long I was out for, but when I came to, it was dark. I still had my pack and rifle. I didn't hear the creature anymore, and I thought I finally lost this thing, or it got scared away, I don't know. I found some cover under some massive rocks and hid for the night. Every now and then, I would hear a low growl in the distance, but it was never close enough for me to risk moving. For hours, I waited, listening to the sounds of the forest. I could hear something else now, too. It was a distant sound, almost like chanting, low and rhythmic, growing louder, as if it was coming from deep within the woods. I heard more of these death screams as well. My mind raced with thoughts of rituals and sacrifice. I don't know how much time passed, but eventually I could feel it, its eyes. Even from the shadows, I felt as though it was staring at me. I heard many footsteps getting closer and closer, and whispers. I heard another scream this time, very close, and what sounded like people running. I just stayed where I was and hugged my rifle, ready for anything that might come at me. Once the sun started to come up, I somehow managed to make it back to the trail. I don't even remember how I got there, just that I couldn't stop running, not until I burst out of the woods and into the safety of a nearby road. I went to the local sheriff's office and reported what happened. They looked at me like they'd heard similar stories before. I've spoken to locals about this, and one old man whispered to me that it was the Wendigo, a spirit of hunger and rage. He said he's seen this creature, and he's also seen other strange things happening in these forests. I heard from others that told me they've also heard strange noises, screams, from the woods, but no one dared to speak of it openly. Some even suspected that it wasn't just a creature. It was linked to dark rituals, things best left undisturbed. What I do know is this: I barely escaped with my life that night. And whatever it was that I encountered, it wasn't human. It was something older, something far more terrifying. I've since moved away from there, and I now live in the suburbs near Pittsburgh. I will never forget this encounter. I still have friends that live there, and they say strange things are still happening in those woods. A park ranger in Delaware Forest State Park near Philadelphia faces an unexplainable terror when he encounters a creature in the woods that he believes to be a Wendigo. As he investigates further, he discovers a conspiracy among the rangers and government who refuse to investigate the strange occurrences in the forest. Eyewitnesses recount horrifying encounters, but no one is willing to confront the truth about the evil lurking in the woods. Thank you for letting me submit my encounter. I've heard several of these encounters on your channel recently. This is a story I've kept to myself for a long time, and even now, I'm not sure anyone will believe it. But I have to tell it. I was a park ranger at Delaware Forest State Park near Philadelphia for a couple years. It's a job I loved, quiet, surrounded by nature. But there's something in these woods that no one talks about, something the government won't investigate, something the other rangers avoid. It started one cold evening in early November. The sky had been overcast all day, and I was making my rounds, checking the trails. That's when I noticed the smell. It hit me like a wall, a stench so foul it smelled like death. It made my stomach churn. It was like rotting meat, but sharper. I've been around dead animals before, but this wasn't like anything I'd ever experienced. I tried to write it off. It could have been a decomposing deer, right? But as I walked deeper into the forest, I started to feel watched. I've been a ranger for years, but this was different. I couldn't shake the feeling that something was waiting for me in the shadows. Then I heard it. A low sound like someone or something was hurt, or even dying, not far off. It was animal-like, but with a depth that felt unnatural. The trees around me were dead silent. No birds, no rustling of the leaves, just that sound over and over again, and a sharp chill in the air. I felt the hair on my neck stand up. It was colder than it should have been, too cold for November. I reached for my radio, but before I could speak, the low growl of something dying turned into a screech, a sound I can't even describe. It was inhuman. I turned to leave, but before I could move, I saw it. A figure, taller than any man, hunched and grotesque, its eyes black and sunk in. It was watching me. The smell grew stronger as it came closer, and I could hear the heavy steps moving through the underbrush. I ran. I didn't look back. I didn't even think. I just ran. I barely made it back to the ranger station. When I tried to report what I'd seen, my supervisor just gave me a look. He didn't say much. Just told me to be careful and not to get involved with anything out of the ordinary. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept hearing things outside my window, those screams and sounds, faint but still there. I thought I was imagining it, but the next day, things got worse. I spoke to a few locals, old-timers who've lived around here for decades. They told me the stories, the ones the park rangers never talk about. Some of them said they'd seen the creature too, in the deepest parts of the forest. They called it a Wendigo, a spirit that feeds on fear and flesh. Some thought it was just a legend, but more than one person spoke of hearing its growl in the dead of night and seeing its black eyes and all. But here's the thing, the more I asked, the more I realized. The rangers know. The government knows. They've known for years. They won't investigate. They don't want to talk about it. They just dismiss it, like it's nothing, like it's all some big misunderstanding. I've tried to bring it up to the higher-ups. Each time they shut me down. They tell me to focus on the usual park duties, nothing more. But there's something they're hiding. I know it. People have gone missing out here before. People who just wandered too far into the forest and never came back. It doesn't make sense, and yet no one wants to look too closely. There's something in those woods, and it's not just wolves. It's something darker, something ancient. The creature I saw that night isn't just a random predator. It's a force, a malevolent presence, and I'm not sure it's even human. I'm telling you this because I can't ignore it any longer. The rangers know, the government knows. There have been so many reportings all across the United States, but they're hiding the truth. I don't know why, but I think it's because they're scared of what will happen if they acknowledge what's out there. I've been researching this cryptid extensively and found that its origins lie in Algonquian Native American folklore, particularly in the northern regions of the US and Canada. The Wendigo is described as a human who, consumed by greed, gluttony, or the necessity of cannibalism, becomes a terrifying, monstrous being. In many versions of the tale, individuals who resort to cannibalism to survive harsh winters or famines are cursed, transforming into Wendigos. These beings are commonly portrayed as lone hunters roaming the frigid, remote forests, driven by an insatiable hunger for human flesh. You might think I'm crazy, but I've seen it. And I'm telling you, it's real. And it's still out there, waiting for its next victim. Stay alert, and if anything ever feels off, get out of there immediately. As the legend of the Wendigo continues to haunt the cold, desolate forests, one thing remains clear. Whether it's a manifestation of greed, desperation, or something far darker, the creature is real to those who have encountered it. The chilling cold, the unbearable stench of death, and the feeling of being relentlessly hunted. These are not just stories, but terrifying truths that have been passed down through generations. So, next time you find yourself in the depths of the wilderness, remember, some legends are not just folklore, and some creatures never truly leave the woods. The Wendigo waits, hungry, watching, and always searching for its next victim. My dear watchers, your presence is a gift. Thank you for your time, your curiosity, your courage. But remember, there are others who wander, unaware of the dangers that await. By liking this video and subscribing, you offer them a light in the darkness. Support our channel and keep the stories coming, simply by giving a thumbs up and subscribing and sharing.